Jake in the joint, stealing hearts, a true crime, bringing the news right on time. TV7 Live Africa, always on point.
Greetings, good people. What's up? What is happening? Folks, big news out of Harare this week. The Zimbabwe National Army has just got itself a brand new boss. And let me tell you, this guy didn't climb the ladder. He spied his way to the top. He did do spy his way to the top. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, is this the type of James Bond 007? This is something else, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe James Bond 2030 edition. We're talking about Lieutenant General Asher Tapfumaneyi. Now, try saying that faster after a few shubuku. 3 times like General Asher Tapfumaneyi, General Asher Tapfumaneyi, General. Yes, sir. So he's the guy who takes over the commander of ZNA on Thursday. Yes, sir. We're talking of the same Tarfumaneyi who used to be deputy director of the CIO. The CIO of Zimbabwe, yes, sir. AKA Zimbabwe's very own ministry of knowing where you buried the bodies. And let's not forget, he is the founding daddy of FAZ. Yes, we're talking about not FUZ, FAZ. Forever Associates Zimbabwe, which sounds like a timeshare scam, but it's actually ZanuPF's community-based voter persuasion program, and their motto: be forever our associate, or else we will associate you at 3 a.m. Bonsoir. So now, the guy who spent years running parallel voter rolls in raw intelligence networks is suddenly in charge of the tanks, the jets, and the guys with the black boots. Not this one, not the black, the shiny red boots. This is like putting a fox in charge of the hen house. That is, if the fox also had dossiers on all the hens and their side chicks.
Where do I start? You grew up where? I grew up in a province in Zombe. And then we moved on to Bulawayo. My father worked for the Council for the Blind in Bulawayo. And
that is General Matutu now, speaking on the sidelines of the handover, where we see General Tarfumaneyi now officially taking over. When we see General Matutu, it is age speaking. It is age saying when we grew up. Because Munu, your childhood shapes you, how you grow up shapes you. But what we are seeing here is the general Zimbabwean enthusiasm. Zimbabweans are so enthusiastic that even my t-shirts do not attack in. That order, that enthusiasm. Yes, we're that enthusiastic. But get enthusiasm which balance. Joshua. One time general, that enthusiasm vositadza kuziva basa ravo kuti ndere kuchengeta the nation kwete kuchengeta any looter. Where is the future right now in Zimbabwe? To any military officer listening right now from the army, I will not include the police because they're not about that in the way domestic affairs, but the military. Do you know Zimbabweans, when they are living in fear, no freedom of thinking anything, freedom of spiritual expression, of mental expression, before having even an idea that need artistic expression, freedom of expression as wrote in Robinson Pamata Penyu. No, that's not freedom of expression. Go to Pamata Penyu art, could not talk about Pamata Penyu Masoja. Did your life? But it's art. In that art, you don't want to also. Freedom of expression is freedom of Pamata Bago. No, why just say things like that? But as people who are working in the military, your fathers, you have your own children. That is the same with all the nation. Humane. Being humane is being humble. Zimbabwe. As we are seeing here, on him speaking.
A young boy, right, really, at school, where do I start? I grew up in the Migrants province in Zombe, and then we moved on to Bulawayo. My father worked for the Council for the Blind in Bulawayo, and he set up his home in Zombe, and it is from Tegwani that I moved.
So this one is for whatever brigade. I mean, the presidential guard can mechanize the brigade. I mean, the EPO. Because Zimbabwe National Army is not one. It's like a wonder. And the people are independent in their thoughts. So the good thing is, besides we are helpless at Tega, we are not united. Imba after Imba. I'm not speaking on myself, but I'm going to do that. I can call myself a special case, so I wouldn't know. So I can keep quiet with this special privileged position that I am. So I told here and there to delete my video. Because I'm not supposed to be talking about politics. That's so petty. We're talking to our humanity as Zimbabweans.
During the liberation struggle.
And since then, you have always been serving.
Since then, I left the country in 1976, at age 16.
You left the country in 1976. There was a school. There's no longer schools here. There's no longer education. In fact, the minister is uneducated. Like somebody who was good, but he was useless. Anyways, you would serve the campus here. We can't expect a guy doing good by UZ to have a minister of education. That's how desperate we are and how cheap we are. It's very sad. And ZanuPF wants to become the everything. And who is ZanuPF? ZanuPF is this. ZanuPF is nothing and it's not nothing at the same time. What is ZanuPF to Mnangagwa and Mnangagwa's children is different from what ZanuPF is. Kuna chamisa ni mwana wa chamisa. It's different to what ZanuPF is to different groups of people. Kuna vamwe vanhu mastori vanhu vanenge vari mass who exist in groups of people. Idzi imbwa idzo, idzo inguruve idzo, idzo ihwai, idzo impudzi. Vanoenda kumachechi vanozvita maChristian majesu masmallers. Jesu anga asiri muChristian havana mati. Christianity is all about charity coming from the Vatican kazhinji. MaKristu vanenge vachiita mafundraising, community projects. vachifanda families, cooperatives. We no longer have that church in Zimbabwe. There's no church in Zimbabwe. We have fake churches and people who can, just like anybody, can start their own political parties, but they are all scams. In that, they are not playing the role of the church. Kuchurch akusikwe kuparidzaka. Kumwendekwe fellowship, and it should operate like so. So those are some of the things I'm going to enforce. Just in writing, it's not something I do every day. Just do writing and just so that we have order in that. I'm not here to please God. Okay, I'm here to be here. No. We are ndifare kuona nonsense zichiitika nezvinosemesa zvichiitika munyika. I'm here to build empires and an empire. The first thing is to secure the nation. We don't want a nation of hungry animals and looting animals. No. So I'll be speaking while I'm still in the country. Before leaving this country, it's better to be in another country. Things are cheaper, there is more money, things like that.
And since then, I've been in the military to now.
And anything you want to say which maybe the population might not know, that this is the man now in charge of Zimbabwe?
Well, I've been a soldier all my life, really. From the age of 16, as I said, I've been in the military. I gained quite some experience within the military during the Liberation War. I had the opportunity to train with the regular Zambian army at the Zambian military academy.
I had an opportunity to train the regular Zambian army. I had an opportunity. When you are serving, what opportunity means? An opportunity is a privilege. Zinomwana opportunity apana ukiwa hapa. Opportunity anaukia mota yake. Do you know the opportunity? No, that's not an opportunity. An opportunity is a blessing on itself. Opportunity unongoska tumodeka wapadro mali. Those are the word opportunity. I had an opportunity too. This is the same language. Now when you're listening to language, when you're learning, what are your values that shape your value? The same word opportunity, how do you perceive it? Wait, the opportunity is not really kwauri. Aina mwari mkati wakapeta kusikwa kudara.
And became an officer from 1978 onwards. I've been an instructor, I've been operational, and in Zimbabwe from 1980, I've held various appointments in command, as a staff officer, as a trainer. I did spend 4 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, in Zimbabwe, we don't have time to be looking into the facts. I had to cut it there to keep it short and with as little information as possible to keep it interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. Now, what we're seeing right now, the general who already knows what now, Tarfumaneyi taking over. Mnangagwa promotes him. This guy, father, been involved in the elections. Is he a 2030 battle general? Is he a 2028 battle general? If you think so, then he is lying to himself. In terms of the general, you are not that. This is not your country, and we are not your soldiers. Okay, you are there to serve the nation, and you cannot perform otherwise unless you are a fake general. So be a general. I hope you are not a fake general, and I hope you don't think you are a battlefield general for 2030 agenda, whatever the nonsense is. Okay, General Tarfumaneyi, welcome. Mushanda nesimba, deliver. We don't want laziness in our institutions. We don't tolerate that. Kana utori munhu ari pabasa woita zvebasa kuchengeta Zimbabwe, isusu ndisiwo atize Zimbabwe. Anditika. So somebody do send him the video so that he can see. Sometimes they are disillusioned, these guys. Sometimes they are overpraised wherever they'll be going. Remember when chicken in. Remember when chicken in. But we should be building our own chicken inns and building our own things. But because this is Mnangagwa playing 40 chess while the rest of us are trying to figure out chess checkers. Remove Mugabe with the army was step number 1. Step number 2, reward the army. Or maybe step number 2, the alternative. Get rid of the army that is the actual army. Step number 3, realize the army commander. Chiwenga now wants your job. Step number 4, replace the army commander with your personal spy chief who owes you big time. Genius, terrifying, same thing in Zimbabwe. And at the end of a ceremony, pure theater, hundreds of officers standing at attention while the old commander hands over the flag like it's the one ring. One army to rule them all. General Matutu gives his heartfelt speech. Maintain unity, discipline, and combat readiness. Now, before I sign out for the Zimbabweans, I leave you with this message. The future. What are you planning about the future? What are you planning? There are many options, but we need to be thinking, is a Messiah ever going to come? Is somebody ever going to come to rescue you? From what? What is our problem? I'll leave you with that. Me, I'm considering taking over ZanuPF and making it my own personal property. That is very possible. It doesn't take me 2-3 days.